Welcome everybody to the A Little Less Fear podcast. I'm your host for the show, Dr. Lino Martinez. Oh yeah. Happy Halloween! Happy Halloweener dog, everybody. Actually, that's one of the best children's book I ever read. It's called The Happy Halloweener Dog for all of you that want to know. It's a great story. Anyways, happy Halloween. Continuing the series of real life true ghost stories. Today, I'm more than happy, super duper excited to welcome my cousin, Daniel Romero. He is from San Diego. What's up? Primo, how
What's
are
up,
you doing
guys? How we
today?
doing? Oh man, living life, enjoying my Sunday. How we doing?
I'm so happy he's coming up, stepping forth to the front plate, and he's gonna tell us about some of his real life true stories. So thank you so much for being open and honest and not shy about this stuff, because some people can be a little shy. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's shying away from it. It's because usually a lot of times we feel kind of like, man, are people gonna believe it? Are they gonna think I'm just full of shit? Or like,
Yeah,
you really don't know. You really don't know sometimes. It's really like, it can be difficult sometimes to share because people will sometimes give you that look like, man, you're just blowing smoke. But on the other hand, you do have those people that really are like, man, you really did go through some crazy stuff.
yeah,
And then even sometimes we don't believe what we're going through or what we're seeing or what we're experiencing. We just kind of want to chalk it up to be like, oh, it's just the house settling, or it's just the neighbor being loud or whatever. But in reality, we really are experiencing these things that we experience.
yeah. And that's why I wanted to do the show, and that's why I was gathering so many stories and so many people willing to share, because it's like it seems to be such a quiet, like, don't talk about it type thing, but it's why not talk about it.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
it's okay to talk about these things. And while it might be and sometimes feels scary, but it still awakens a different part of us up that can help us along the way. So feel free to,
Yeah,
geez, tell it. I mean,
exactly.
I know you got a lot of
Yeah.
stories, and I've been wanting to, I couldn't wait to hear. So you start wherever
Yeah,
you'd like
man,
to start.
for sure. But I mean, just kind of touching base with what you said. Like for us, like it really is taboo. It's like our parents were always like, we were brought up, no, don't bring that up, don't bring that up. Just kind of, people don't need to hear that, but reality they do.
Yeah,
And
we
it's
do.
it's good for us. It's like a sort of like a healing process, but at the same time that I'm not crazy. I
Yeah,
know I'm not
validation,
crazy.
man. We need that validation.
Exactly. But no, man, really, what I wanted to share was just growing up. I was probably about 12 years old, and it was right around the time. I mean, we'd already moved down here from the valley, so this is the second home we actually moved into. And my parents were going through crazy divorce at the time, and so the energy at the house was kind of weird. But even before then, man, when we moved into the house, like there was just something weird about the house, bro. Like it could be the nicest day. I mean, the nicest. I mean, think of the dopest Southern California day you could think of.
Yeah.
And the second you walked into that house, it was like a storm cloud just came over the place, man. Like
Wow.
dark, like just, I mean, cold. Like the energy just felt creepy, man.
Hey, cousin, was the house old? Was it older? Like, I'm always curious
Yeah,
because I have a feeling and a theory that the older the house, the more it's gonna open those portals, you know?
right. Well, it was kind of it was a townhouse, and it was probably built. I want to say like the late '70s, like late '60s, early '70s.
Not too old then. Okay.
So it wasn't too crazy old, but just being closer to Camp Pendleton from where we were at originally when we
Oh,
moved to San
dang.
from to San Diego, like because we were closer. We live here in Oceanside, and we were closer to the back gate at the time. So it's like just kind of as I got older doing research, found out it was that section of Oceanside was actually military housing in like the early '70s.
Oh,
And they
wow.
switched it, yeah. So they ended up switching it to like regular public domain for the city or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like early '70s, it was military housing. So going along with the story, man, like we moved in, just nothing really right off the bat. Just subtle things like lights would come on, lights would turn off. you'd hear
And you
like
first you were like,
footsteps.
oh, that's nothing, no big deal.
Yeah, it's like no big deal. Probably just, my sister's upstairs or my mom's upstairs. They turn the light off, off and on, and then they come in through the door, and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But nothing. It was nothing really crazy up until probably the energy, like our energy, started to change with the divorce and everything, and um, my dad, doing what he was doing with, his friends and whatever, and the energy in the house started to change a lot more, and things started to get bigger. I noticed the activity started to change. It went from lights going off and on to, hearing maybe the occasional footstep, to like being home alone downstairs watching TV in the living room, to someone literally gorilla stomping in the master bedroom above you.
Oh, dang.
Like doors literally slamming. Like the way the house was set up, like picture this. Okay, so you walk up to the front door of the house. Okay, you
Uh-huh.
walk in. And as soon as you walk in, on your left-hand side, there was a small little half bath that you kind of had to walk around into.
Uh-huh.
And then next to that was the stairs going up to the second floor. And the stairs would go up one platform and then kink around and then up the rest of the way.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And on your right-hand side was the living room. And then the wall to the neighbor's house. Now that wall was mirrors. I don't know why the like late 80s, early 90s,
Yeah, they
like
always put
people had
mirrors on the
that's
walls, huh?
stuff. Yeah, mirrors and stuff. So we had that wall was just all mirrors. And then the wall up against, like when you go up to the stairs, that wall, like literally from like that platform all the way to the ceiling was mirrors. So like if you sat at a certain angle in like if you sat in the living room down to watch TV,
Yeah.
you had mirrors like on the corner of your eye coming this way, and
Yeah.
you could catch the mirrors out of like your peripheral on this side. And like
Man, you're not gonna lose sight of anything that way.
you're right, right? So like there was times where I would be sitting down in the living room and I knew I was home alone, or I like we had a roommate that lived with us at the time. He, we would both be downstairs watching TV or whatever, and out of the corner of our eye, like because going up the stairs there was a catwalk that reflected off the mirrors going into the master bathroom. After a while, um, I started noticing like a little girl, and like I'm like, dude, I'm going crazy. Like I'm going crazy. I know I'm like I'm just seeing stuff. I'm seeing stuff out of I'm just seeing it. It's like it's
And
not
how
there.
old were
It's
you
not
at
there.
this
There's nothing
time?
there. I was probably about
12,
or
you said?
13.
And the little
Yeah.
girl, was she did she look like a human form or like a like ghostly form or like you could see through her or shadow or what did she look
No,
like?
she looked solid. Like it looked like a little girl sitting up at the like we were like it looked like as if I was babysitting a little girl,
Oh,
and she
dang.
was upstairs. Like I mean, I can describe in detail like her dress down to her socks, bro. like she had like wavy hair, like long, like kind of brown wavy hair, short, like up to her shoulders, in like a ponytail, pulled back in a ponytail and like draped over the side. She wore like a little white lacy dress, white lacy socks, white shoes.
Did it look timely like about our times at or your our times at the time, or did she look like she was wearing something from like antique?
Older, yeah, I looked something older.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I looked something probably like, yeah, I want to say about early 1900s, late
Oh, wow.
1890s. But like she would sit down and she would like hold like she would like because it was like a little bar like bars and then the handlebar. So she would it's like she was sitting down on the catwalk. She would put her feet over the side and like she would kick her feet and she would sit there and stare at you sit on the couch.
Whoa.
Now and like you're sitting there, I mean you see her, you can see her out of your peripheral,
Yeah.
clear as day. I mean out of your your peripheral clear as
Yeah.
day. And the second you turn your head to look at her, gone. And then like you blink, you do that hard blink, like nah, and you'd open your eyes, and again out of your peripheral, she would be there.
So
And the
you've seen
second
her
you look,
more than once.
several times, it was like daily basis.
And then did you have any type of feeling like that she was lost or that she was sad or or she was just curious? So did you get any feelings
I
about
think
her as far as her
I
like
think it was more
demeanor or whatever?
I think it was more curiosity. I think she was kind of like, what are you doing? Like what's going on? Like why am I here? Why are you here? Kind of that you kind of got that vibe because it's like it really wasn't. I mean, it was Yeah, of course it was creepy, but it was more of that like curious. Like I would get curious, like why is she here? What is she doing? Like what's going on?
And she's probably
You
thinking the
know,
same thing about you. What are you doing? Why are you
exactly,
here?
exactly. Like because like you could see her watch. Like she wouldn't say anything. She wouldn't try and get your attention. It's like she was just sitting there watching you, like
Hmm.
trying to take in the moment, trying to figure out what was going on. You know, and
So you
that was one
never
of the
like
things.
felt threatened by her or anything like that.
No, 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 not at all, not at all. But here's where it gets sketchy, man. Like
Oh dang.
there was times where I mean, and it wouldn't like the activity just didn't stick to that, man. Like shadow figures, apparitions, you hear all these things, like legit shadow figures, legit apparitions. Like we used to have two Rottweilers at the time, and they were the nicest dogs. I mean, they were the coolest dogs you could ever have, man. Like the male, he was just big and dopey. Like I wanted to call him Dopey, but we ended up calling him Hans. Go figure. So he was the coolest dog, man. Like, I mean, super friendly. Like, he would let the little neighborhood kids ride him like he was a horse, dude. Greatest dog in the
I
world.
used to do that.
Uh, I mean, he was, I guess, the greatest dog in the world. And he was attached to me, and the female was more attached to my little sister. So there was times where we like my dad would be at the house or whatever, and like normally just didn't stick to my dad. It like bounced around, but there was times where like the dogs would always sleep outside, but on occasion we would let them sleep in the house. One day I had the dog in my room, and I was asleep in my bed, and he would normally sleep at the foot of my bed, and I just felt him like pop up, like alert, like something like got his attention. So I wake up and I'm like half asleep, trying to see what's going on,
It was
and he's
late
just
or was it
staring.
like early morning?
It was probably around I'd say like 1:32 in the morning,
Okay.
so it was like late night, and like something got his attention, and he was just, I mean, he was just staring hard at my door, like ready to just go at whatever's at the
Was your
door.
heart pacing and stuff? Were you like, oh dang, oh dang, oh dang?
Well, at first, like I said, I was still kind of half asleep, so I'm still trying to process what's going on. And like when I finally saw what he like the state of mind the dog was in, I had never seen him in that state of mind, like never. Like like I said, he was the dopiest dog you could ever meet. Like I mean, he was just goofy.
Yeah.
But like I said, I never seen him in that state of mind, like ready to like attack mode, like whatever's
Oh
coming through
wow.
that door, I'm gonna take out. And I'm looking at him, and I'm trying to calm him down, and I could see like the hair on the back of his neck just up. I mean, he's got
Wow.
his hackles up, like he's just snarling, like growling hard, and I'm like, whoa, like this is serious, right? And I'm like, I'm not about to open that door. Like there's something literally
Yeah,
trying
no,
to like
no
wants to
kidding.
come into my
Dang.
room and get me. Well,
Yikes.
as I'm looking at the door, I realize he's not looking at the door. He's looking above the door.
Oh
And
man.
I look up, and there's this black mass. Just, I mean, it had to have been about the size, just a little bit like almost like a rugby ball, about the size of a rugby ball,
Yeah.
like in the corner above the door.
A black mask?
No, mass. Like it was like,
Oh, a mass. Oh,
yeah, it looked like almost like a
like
like
a circle, like a
black
sphere?
mist. Yeah, it
Oh
was like I said, it
dang.
was like with the shape of a rugby ball, and it was pretty big. I mean, pretty big
What
in the
was it
corner.
solid or did it have like a smoky presence to it?
It was smoky, but I mean, it was dark. Like the, I mean, it looked like absence of light. Like I mean, you could tell it was. You could totally tell it
Dang, what if
wasn't a
that was a
mist. There was like
portal?
something there. That's what I was thinking. And the dog,
Wow.
I mean, he just like he was ready to like. I mean, he just like was ready to go at that thing if it moved. And I'm looking at it, and like again, I do that hard blink, like I'm like, I mean, I'm asleep. I'm just seeing shit because I'm
Yeah, I'm
asleep.
dreaming, I'm dreaming.
You know, this gnarly dream going. You know, it's like, and I hard blink, look, it's still there, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I start to panic. I start to freak out, and it's like I'm trying to call for my mom, trying to call for my dad. Nothing coming out. Like I was just so scared, like I couldn't say anything. And then finally, it like it like sucks through the door, Like I don't know how to explain. Like it just like a little crack, like the crack above the door, like it literally just like sucked through that and just like was gone.
Wow.
And the dog was like, he was still kind of alert for like a minute or two, and then he just finally calmed down and laid down at the foot of the bed. But the whole time he was staring at the door, like he never took his face off the door.
Wow.
And I started noticing subtle changes too in attitudes at home. Like we were, families always fight. You know how families are. We always,
Sure.
butt heads or whatever. But
Right.
it got to a point where it's like, man, this ain't normal. You know what I mean? It's like I understand. We're going. My parents are going through this divorce. They're going through this transition, but this this type of fighting isn't normal.
Right.
And it's like I noticed that tempers were a lot higher. Like I would see my mom get into rages that I'd never seen her get in before. Like, I saw a side of my dad that, I man, like I literally scared me, and he would say things and do things that like, you wouldn't expect from a parent. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and that was one of the biggest things was the attitudes changing. And I know, and then after that, like
So all the
again,
dark
like
energies that were living in that house were like going through all of your
were
energies as
affecting all of
well.
us.
Yeah, affecting
Yeah,
all
they
of
were
you.
affecting all of us, and it's like my sister and I, we would fight a lot more, like in, you know, brothers and sisters fight,
Yeah.
sibling rivalry. There's this sibling rivalry always going to be there, but
This was out of character.
way out of character for both of us, bro. Like, me, I would never lay hands on my sisters. And like,
You're right.
for me to tackle my sister and hold her down, like that's not me, bro.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
then what
and
happened? Did all of you get together and have a discussion and say, you know what, there's some really bad energy in this house. We got to get out of here.
well, what eventually happened was my parents go through the divorce. My dad ends up moving out, and we end up staying at the house for a while, and the energy just continued, man. The things just continued, and we just kind of lived with it. And my mom was so numb just because she was going through the divorce, going through that whole thing. Like her mental state was just not there, And then when she finally started, getting back together, getting it back together, and slowly realizing everything that was going on in the house, because she started noticing the activity, the bumping in the night, and the things moving around, things getting shifted, seeing people walking. I mean, bro, there was times we would literally see people walking in the house, like you'd be sitting down, someone would literally walk past you, go up the stairs, like, well, wait a minute, who are you?
So at this point now, even your mom is starting to realize that something's up at that house. And how
Yes.
did she tell you, or you heard her like telling someone else, or did you tell her? How did you both discover that you were both
Well,
witnessing similar things?
my sister and I, we decided to tell my mom. We decided to tell mom, look,
Because your sister
there's
was
stuff going
also
on.
experiencing things.
Yeah, she was.
Oh, dang.
And I mean, I don't know her experiences. She can share them with you too. But yeah, like we were like, mom, look, there's stuff going on in the house that we can't explain, and it's getting to a point where we don't want to be here anymore. Like we don't feel comfortable in our own home, and that's when my mom started noticing things going on. And this was right around the time my mom started going to church. So it's like she started taking on the whole the faith aspect of it.
Mhm.
And when as a man of faith, you know, faith faith wants us to believe a certain thing,
Yeah.
but I like to try and keep an open mind. Like my faith is my faith. I believe, and I have my convictions, and I stick to my faith. That I stick to my faith
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
guns blazing. But like I said, I like to try and keep an open mind, and I like to try and maybe there is a different explanation, maybe there is something else out there, and the faith aspect of it. My mom brought in, she brought in the pastors from the church, and we were all there when they were blessing the house. They did a walkthrough blessing the house, and let me tell you, man, the second the pastor walked in the house, the energy shifted, bro. Like it went from dark to like hell, bro. Like I'm talking like hellish. Like the house was literally vibrating when he walked in the house. Like whatever was there did not want him there or did not want anyone there.
Whoa.
Like it was gnarly.
I thought you were about to say when he walked in, things got like better, more peaceful, but
Oh, no, man. Like
this
it
was some
was it.
heavy dark energy then.
Yeah, man.
So what
And
happened after the priest blessed the house?
well, they did the walkthrough and they were blessing the house, and like, man, all of a sudden, like my mom just starts pulling, like she's in her room, right? And she starts pulling stuff out of her closet, like clothes and things that aren't, I mean, that weren't hers. You know, like there was no, like, there should have been, the only clothes in that closet should have been hers and my sister's.
Yeah.
But she was pulling stuff out that wasn't hers or my sister's, like just garments of
Random clothes
clothing.
that just appeared.
Yeah, random women's clothing, random
Dude,
men's
you could write
clothing,
a
like
movie
men's
about this.
clothing.
You could write a
Yeah,
movie
like
about this, man.
right. I'm telling you, bro. And my mom used to have pottery, like she used to have, you know, or not pottery, but potpourri, those little potpourri pots. Like she used to have them all over the house. I
Yeah.
remember, and I hated it because it was just that, like, I don't know what I don't know what smell she would
I
pick,
know my
but it's
mom
like,
used to too. I totally know
you
what you
know,
mean.
so it's like it was just that annoying smell. But like, even like through like while they're going through blessing the house, like I just would see the pastor like start picking at the potpourri, and he was pulling stuff out of the potpourri like that shouldn't have been in, like I mean just random stuff in the potpourri, like eggshells. There was a feather in one, like in the living room, like in the little pot that she had in the living room, like just pulling random stuff out, like someone went through and was doing like
A curse.
a curse. So they're in my mom's bedroom, they're in the master bedroom, and my mom's pulling the clothes out, and my mom's friend shifts the bed, and under the bed, like at the top of the bed, that's where like someone, I guess they had done like, that's where they had done like, I guess whatever they did, the curse or whatever you want to call it, because it was like eggshells, like pictures like with ribbon, like you know, like someone did a binding spell, pictures of me, my mom, my sister,
What?
like, and not just us, like my sister Karina, like, you know, and other family members, like just there that were there. I'm like, man, what the heck is all, like,
That's some
I'm a kid trying
brujeria.
to process, yeah, like I'm trying to process all this as a kid, man. And so they're praying for the, you know, they're still blessing the house.
Wow.
Bro, it got to a point where the house literally shook.
Wow.
Like, I mean, the house literally shook. Like I can't explain it, man. Like I can't begin to explain what that moment was like. I mean, just all I know is that the house shook. Like, bro, you know us, man. We've been through earthquakes growing up in the valley, man. I
Yeah.
survived the quake in '87.
Yeah.
We survived Northridge.
Oh yeah.
Like, these are quakes that we've been through in our lives. Like, so we know earthquakes.
Yeah.
Growing up in San Fernando, we know quakes, man.
But it's like the house was trembling.
It's like the house itself was trying to collapse in on itself. Like the house
Oh,
itself was trying
wow.
to
So that
destroy
must have been
itself.
really loud too, huh?
It was it was so creepy and so insane because I mean you could literally feel and see the house shaking, literally trying to destroy itself. Now we asked our neighbors because we were friends with one of the neighbors. They didn't hear a sound, they didn't feel anything, they didn't see anything.
Wow. So then what
But I
happened? So
noticed,
wait, so the house shook while the priest was in there.
yeah, like right at the end, like right when they were about to leave, like they were closing prayer, whatever, and like
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was at that point where it's like, okay, this is peak point, like, you know, they're praying hard, and it's like we're gonna get this thing out of here right now.
So then
And
what
as
happened after the priest left?
after the house shook, everything, like the I mean, it was like that cloud just went away, man. It's like the house was back to normal, like it was like a normal house. You know, it's like a feeling that I've never felt when we lived in that house. I felt at home.
Wow.
You know, there was still small things that happened. There was still little things, you know, that you know, you'd still get those bumps and you'd still, you know, see flashes. You'd still see that little girl sitting up there, you know, and like certain shadows and stuff. But as far as the big things like the shadow people and random people walking through the house, the stomping, all stopped.
So
you
what do
know,
you make of it
and
now, thinking back? Because like my mind's just thinking all kinds of things. I'm thinking that it was a portal, and then that it was also a cursed house. That there was just like multiple things going on with all kinds of energies going on all at once. But you lived it. So what do you think about it now when you look back and like telling the story out loud? What's up with that house?
you know, man, I think it was more the people that were in that house because my when my parents got divorced, we ended up moving out for a while, and we would still stay there with my dad because my dad still lived in the house for a while, and the woman that he was having a relationship with practiced, you know, santeria and all that stuff because when they moved, you know, moved out, you know, there was times, you know, my mom, you know, we'd go see our dad. And when, you know, there was a time I went to go visit him, and I walked into his house, and she had, you know, her little altar there and everything. And I noticed it, and I noticed that she would have like there was certain things, there was certain similarities to what we found under my mom's bed. So I'm more than certain, you know, that you know she tried to do some kind of curse. She's put some kind of curse either over the house or over us or whatever. But it seemed to like it never left the house. Whatever was there at the house. It never followed us anywhere. You know, so I figured I'm like she probably just put a curse on the house while we were there.
Yeah.
You know, and just bound it specifically to us because anybody that ever came into the house, they felt yeah. I mean, oh yeah, it feels kind of spooky, but they never experienced anything or saw anything. You
So
know,
what she did versus seeing the little girl and that or that black orb or portal, whatever it was, those were all separate things.
yes, those are two separate things because
Mm.
after that, um, that black mass was still in the house. Like I remember still seeing it, and it was man, like I don't even know how to begin to explain it. Like that thing, like when my even when we lived there with our dad, like you would see it, but not like you would see it in different places. It's like so I don't know if it was a portal, but it was definitely something in the house because you would see it throughout the house.
And did your other family members see the portal or whatever that thing was?
You know, I don't know if they did. You know, they never they never really expressed it. You know, as far as to me or any. I mean, I don't know. I know I would see it. You know, I would see it in my room, and then it would change shapes. Like I mean, you would be about like I said, the size of a rugby ball to the size of a person, and it would
Wow.
change density. Like I mean, there was times where it looked just like black smoke, and there was times it looked like a legit shadow moving through the house, like a solid shadow.
I know
You
what that's
know,
like because I've seen there's times, plenty of times when I'm here in my apartment and I'll feel like the movement of a person and I'll look and I'll quickly see like a form like a the shape of a human shadow, just all black, completely black. And I'm like, I
yeah.
know that wasn't just me. I wasn't just imagining that. I saw it. So,
Yeah.
like,
No, yeah.
whoa.
Yeah. And it would definitely cause, like I said, I think that's where things started to change as far as attitudes and vibes coming off people. Cause like there was a couple times where I'd be asleep and like I said, like that one time I had the dog, there was a couple times I had him in the room with me. And there was one time I noticed he got up and my door was kind of open, like I didn't close it all the way. And he was still standing at the door, like he seemed calm, like he was just kind of curious. And I opened the
Like the
door,
last
and my
time, like the first time,
yeah,
or same door from the last time.
so yeah, it was a door to my room, but different. The dog was different. He wasn't as tense, and he wasn't like in attack mode like he was that day. I opened the door, and my dad was literally standing there at my door, like blank face, like just nose, just kind of standing there, like
Sleepwalking.
yeah. I mean, I looked like he was just standing there daydreaming. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You should be asleep. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm like, and I'm calling out, Dad, are you okay? Like everything all right? And yeah, like he just like he gave me like a vague yeah, and just turned around, like walked back to his bed. And I'm like, okay, that was like that was creepy. Like
That's
that's
interesting
weird.
that
Like
he was going towards the same part area where that black thing was.
yeah, and it was
Wow.
like
Damn.
yeah, like it was crazy, man. Like, and I remember we had a roommate move in, and like even he like sometimes like you know he called like man like I remember one time he called it his drunken chicken because he said he was so drunk like he doesn't remember cooking it. He made this fried chicken, and I remember that night, man. He didn't drink at all. I remember that day. He didn't have one drink at all.
And he doesn't remember doing this?
He doesn't remember cooking it. Like, and I was there with him. Like, I was standing next to him the whole time. Like, we're sitting there,
What?
chatting it up. He was telling me how to, yeah, he was telling me how to cook, make, fried chicken and stuff. I'm like, all right, cool.
But
And I was like,
did he like usually talk about being a cook or anything like that? Or was this
yeah,
also
like
out of
he would know.
character?
No, no, no. Like, we would always, like, he was a bomb cook, bro. Like, I mean, he's a really good cook. And it's like, I think that was the funny part is that was the best chicken strips we'd ever made. And he still can't, like, to this day, he does not remember making it.
Man, there's some
Like,
some spiritual cook going through him.
oh man, I'm telling you, right? But yeah,
Wow.
man, I mean, it's just, things like that, in the home, and then just other stuff too, growing up. We ended up moving out of that house, and oh man, our family, bro, the craziness, the crazy stories of our families and stuff, and the history, that our family wants to, really, impress on us and stuff with other family members. But yeah, man, that was one of the biggest. I think for me growing up, that was one of the craziest things that I've ever gone through. I've been seeing other things, spending time in Tijuana with family members and other parts, like I remember our Aunt Concha's house in Silmar. That place, dude, that place was crazy. Just even our house in the valley in Pacoima, just little things and subtle things. And even my grandma's house in Pacoima too, like just small stuff. It wasn't as big as it was when I was a kid. And if it was, I really just kind of didn't make itself known to me then. But as I got older, I started kind of my energy started changing. Like I started to be like kind of, I don't want to say sensitive because I'm not a sensitive and I'm not a medium. So like I really didn't, I really can't. But like you can tell when you walk into a room
Well, because you've
or a
experienced
place.
it and you lived it. That's why now you are aware of this other type of subtle energies that are
Yeah,
different.
you could definitely feel the change in the energies in the inner room, and you could definitely feel when something's off, and I don't want to say, well, there's something there, because maybe just someone's energy's off, maybe someone's
Yeah.
throwing off a weird vibe or whatever. But then again, there's those times where it's like, you never know, maybe there is something here, but yeah, man, that's my
Wow.
story,
So
bro.
this is like a really live, a real true haunted house story.
Yeah, man.
So I have a
Growing up.
question. So like when you watch
Yeah.
movies like Poltergeist or whatever, like scary, haunted houses and stuff like that, are you afraid to watch these movies, or does it bring you validation that other people have written these stories because most likely they've experienced it too? Or do you enjoy it, or are you kind of like, nah, I've lived it, I don't need to see it?
No, man. Like I said, I'm not I'm a horror. I love scary movies, man. The
Yeah.
horror, like, not so much into the slasher movies. I'm into more like like suspense
Yeah,
thrillers
same
and stuff,
here.
or even like true stories, like based off
Yeah.
true events. And yeah, I mean, it does. Like I look at stuff like that, and some of it, like you can totally tell it's Hollywood. Just to make the movie bigger, make the scene crazier, make the
Right.
ghost spookier, let's make instead of it knocking over a teacup, we'll throw the teacup across the room. Like they'll embellish things. So I
Yeah.
mean, just obviously for the movie, the
Right.
benefit of the movie, but it does give you validation because it's like you went through it. It's like you saw
Yeah.
those things, and it's like, man, I'm not the only person that went through that.
Right.
Somebody else saw that, somebody else experienced that, somebody else heard that, or somebody, you know what I mean? It's like somebody else felt that,
Yeah.
and
Right.
it
Right.
does give you a small sense of validation, but at the same time, you feel that, man, you're not alone. And that, I think that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing is that you don't, no one wants to feel alone in something.
Oh yeah,
You
that's
know,
for sure. Yeah. Hey, Daniel, did
yeah.
you ever have the opportunity to talk to any of these ghosts? Did you ever say like, "Hey, what do you want?" or "What are you doing here?" or "How can I help you?" or did you ever blurt anything out to them?
Not in that house. As I got older, I did get more into the paranormal, and I'm like,
Yeah.
research and stuff in my mid late 20s, and I was fortunate enough, to have a group of people that were in the same in the same field. Like they experienced things, and it's like they just wanted answers. They wanted to understand,
Yeah.
what it is they saw, and we got into it, man. We ended up, we weren't like, we weren't anything like these big name, ghost hunting shows and paranormal researchers and stuff. We had, a couple digital recorders and a couple, cell phone cameras and, a couple cameras and stuff, but we weren't hardcore, but we did do some investigations and you know, trying to find out what's going on. I think one of the biggest questions is, we want to ask why you're here. Why are you still here? Why are, what is
Yeah.
this
Why
or
haven't
that?
you crossed over? Why are you still in your dimension? What's happening over there? Yeah.
Right,
Did you ever
right.
get
And
an answer?
a lot of the times, yeah, a lot of the times they don't know that they're stuck in time. They don't know that they're
Oh
stuck,
man,
and it's like
that's kind of
they'll,
sad.
yeah, I think one of the craziest questions and one of our researchers was like, why don't we stop asking why you're here or where you're from? Why don't we start asking when are you, like when you're from, like what, give us a time frame. What year is it with you? And I'm like, that's a good idea. And we
Yeah.
started asking that question, and we started getting actual responses, man. Like, it's like, I think one time we got an actual date. Like, someone gave us a date. I think it was like January 14th, 1885.
And they were stuck
And
in
it's
that
like
loop.
they were stuck. Like, I was like, what date is it? What's the date? And they're like January 14th, 1885. And I'm like, we got an actual date. Like, we got an actual EVP of a date. An intelligent response at that. Like, those are very few, far and in between.
Where were you at when you got a
You know,
response like that? When you guys
we
were doing
were
those investigations?
we were actually a little local town here in North County, San Diego. I don't want to disclose. I don't want to,
Sure, sure, sure.
none of that crazy stuff. But yeah, it was just a little town here in North County, San Diego, and these people were very kind and just wanted, they just wanted answers. They want to know what's going
Yeah.
on and
So
in
did
and
you
around the
get the
property.
understanding that January 14th, 85, that did you get the feeling that that specific entity was stuck or lost in that time, that
I
date exactly? Like maybe they died that date and stayed there?
I think that's what it was. I think it was that specific date. I think that entity felt it was that specific date at that specific time.
And what kind
Because
of
it's
other
like,
answers did you get?
I mean, just really, I mean, not necessarily dates, but we'll get we've gotten places and a lot of names, or where's so and so. Like, we've gotten, that's been one of the biggest things we've gotten was where's John, or where's Mary, or where's Jane. Like, it's like, asking where people are,
So they're
and
lost.
a lot of the times, but sometimes, there's a lot of residual energy too. A lot of residual is just like on a constant loop. It's just like a tape being played over and over and over and over and over. And it's just that it's not like they don't know, you know, residual is different from an intelligent haunting. Intelligent haunting is, it knows it's there, it doesn't know why or its purpose, but it knows it's there. And a residual is more like it doesn't have a clue what's going on, it's just playing over, and it usually that's what happens. It's like you'll see a scene run through, ends, and then you'll see the same scene run through again. And a lot of the times that's mainly what we see is a lot of residual energy and a lot of like things like that, like just things played on a loop, because you'll get the same response over and over and over and over.
And so there's no way of knowing or even theorizing what if the ghost or the paranormal or whatever on the other side knows who you are or feels that you might be.
Right. Well, I mean, we try, like I said, as investigators, you try your best to get that connection, and it
Yeah,
would validate, like I said, because then again, that would validate a whole different perspective,
right.
especially on the paranormal end, because it's like, man, now we're actually getting now we're getting into an actual conversation as
Yeah,
opposed to responses to questions,
right.
you know. And I think that right now, I think that's one of the things that really paranormal investigators are still looking into. It's still a theory, it's still out there. I think there's still a good possibility that it can be, but as for now, like, there really hasn't been any. I haven't gotten, at least me, my team, we haven't gotten anything.
So why do you think, from like what your team and your experience that you have right now, just based on your life experiences, when these like entities or spirits or whatever, whatever you want to call them, are in these other dimensions and they're in playing in this loop, why did that loop happen? Was it because it was out of panic, something like fear that caused this specific energy to keep it going in that same loop? Or is it tragedy, in other words, that caused, you know what I
It,
mean?
yeah, it could be a series of things. Yeah, it could be fear, it could be sadness, could be anger, could be rage. It
Mhm,
all depends on the feeling of when you walk
mhm.
into it and what you get. Because yeah, sometimes you'll get disinvited. You'll get like someone crying. You hear someone crying, or you hear someone yelling or talking or confusion. Like I said, it all depends on that energy and what that person was feeling at that time. Because yeah, it could be a range of emotions. It's not just stuck to one thing.
And I'm
You
also
know,
wondering if that has anything to do with death at all, even. I mean, does it mean that that person died, or could it just be that that much energy was in that spot that it stayed there and you're able to catch it in that frequency?
I think that's one of the biggest things that right now paranormal researchers are or have actually. I think it's more like, yeah, because I know you've heard objects. We embed our energy into things and into objects, and like that's where you get these haunted objects, like a haunted
Right.
dresser or like a haunted doll or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I think I think really it's those things that were close to us that we embed a lot of our energy into,
Hmm.
and it can create these residual hauntings and these residual energies remanifesting in areas and stuff. But like I said, it's really, I don't think it's just cooperated with death at that moment. I mean, a lot of times, there are people like it could, I'm not
Right,
limiting it
right.
to not being a part of it, but I mean, I'm pretty sure it can,
Yeah.
but
So
like I
energy
said,
is
I think
energy.
that's one of
Energy
our,
is energy, whether you're alive or whether you're dead. So,
right, right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
man.
Well, these have been an amazing stories here told by my awesome cousin Daniel Romero from San Diego. I had no idea about any of these stories. I'm so
Yeah,
thankful that
man.
you're able to share this. What kind of advice can you give people that have these experiences that are in denial, or that fear they're alone, or that these things aren't real, or that are scared that they've experienced? So what kind of advice can you give anybody of ages, whether they're kids or older people or people our age?
Man, that's an awesome question. I love it. I'm gonna break it down into parts. Younger, first, I'm gonna give it for the younger kids, and I'm talking kids. If your parents are listening on this podcast with you, anywhere from 5 to 10 years old. Kids, don't be afraid to tell your parents what you're seeing and experiencing. Sometimes your parents will like, oh, mommy, there's a monster in the closet. Your parents, no, there's no monster in the closet, and they try and make you stronger. Continue, if you continue to see it, don't stop telling mom and dad that it's there, because you are genuinely seeing what you see.
Yes.
Now, kids 11 to 15. I know sometimes we chalk it up as to we're losing our minds or putting it through, we're going through puberty, we're changing, so we're gonna,
Right.
this,
It's
that, and the other.
hormonal.
Right? Yeah. Listen to me. Still, don't be afraid to tell someone. If your parents don't want to listen to you, trusted teacher, parent of a friend, like anybody that you trust, that you could talk to them, because remember, you are not alone. We are not alone in this. You just shared my story and the things that I went through growing up. Some of the things that I went through growing up in my own personal home. So you're not crazy and you are not alone. Adults, 15 and up, you know, do research. Do research. Don't be afraid, man. We live in a generation where we literally have the information
Endless
at our
information.
fingertips. At our fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to do research on the house you live in, the area you live in, the surrounding community. Don't be afraid to look for tragic stories or whatever. Oh man, I didn't know there was there used to be a train that ran through here and it derailed and killed 200 people or whatever. Oh, I didn't know that this used to be, Indian land or whatever. It's like, do not be afraid to do the research. Look it up, and if you feel like it's, that way you learn. The more you know, the more you learn. Like it makes more sense.
It makes more sense of living here in this world with trying to connect with humans and other non-humans rather than you picking on yourself and being like, I'm crazy, just know that
Yeah,
there's other types of existences.
exactly. And that's the big, and then that's you hit a keynote too. That's a big thing. Do not single yourself out.
Yeah.
Don't ever put yourself alone, because remember, we are not alone. And I'm putting myself in that. We are not alone.
We're not alone, everybody.
Exactly. And then if you ever do a UFO one, dude, I got one for you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, definitely, bro. And
Oh, dang.
I've got our one of our aunts, one of our cousins can confirm and will cooperate with me on that one, dude.
Oh,
So
man.
yeah, we've got actual video evidence of that.
That's incredible.
So,
Wow.
so
Thanks
yeah,
so
man.
much for sharing.
Yeah. No, of course, man. Anytime, bro.
It's awesome. I can't wait to post this, and you're an incredible person. A lot of love. I got a lot of love for
I love you,
you, and
bro.
I hope I get
Love
to
you too,
see you
cuz.
in person soon.
Yeah, for sure, man. We definitely gotta get together for sure.
Maybe you can make it to my book release party in a little over a month.
Oh, you can count on that, bro. I will be there
Yeah.
for
We'll be
sure.
talking soon, Primo. I love you. Take care.
All right, love you too, cuz.
A
Bye.
Little Less Fear podcast, real life truth ghost stories. Daniel Romero from San Diego. Thank you so much.